Muchas gracias por la presentación y a todos vosotros por haber venido hoy a este día, a pesar del calor que cae y del que va a caer luego. Aunque eso sí, como el del fin de semana, nada. Yo no os voy a avasallar con una presentación, no tengo ni un solo slide. Mi presentación va a ser la más ligera de todo el día, con mucha diferencia. Y espero que simplemente sirva de introducción. Tenemos hoy una gama de ponentes enorme. Tenemos varios expertos de Israel que han venido a contaros sobre tecnología. Tenemos a nuestro vicepresidente de productos, que es una de las mejores personas que tenemos en Israel. Tenemos expertos en movilidad. Tenemos también clientes españoles que van a salir y hablar. Y tenéis que tener en cuenta que en España convencer a un cliente para que hable es muy difícil, porque aquí todo el mundo mantenemos un perfil lo más bajo posible de que no se hable. No hay peor pena, sobre todo con los políticos corruptos, que es lo que está más de moda, no es que les quiten el dinero, es salir en el telediario diciendo que son corruptos. Es lo peor que les puede pasar en estos momentos. Por tanto, con todos esos elementos, tener hoy aquí clientes que hablen con nosotros es un placer. Poco más tenía que contaros yo hoy, porque van a venir los expertos y lo van a decir. Sin embargo, muchos nos conocéis y sabéis que hacemos muchas pruebas con vosotros y nos gusta llegar a los clientes, instalar y trabajar con ellos, hacer lo que nosotros llamamos un check-up, que es simplemente comprobar qué es lo que pasa en tu red de verdad en la vida para saber y decir, hay muchos malos en el mundo, pero a ti lo que te pasa es esto. Sin embargo, hace poco ha pasado algo que a mí me ha resultado muy interesante. De hecho, no hubiera estado de más para haberlo patrocinado, porque los señores del WannaCry nos han hecho una demo fantástica a todos para comprobar de verdad cuál era el estado de la seguridad en muchos de los sitios. Unos se salvaron, otros no se salvaron, otros no se salvaron pero no lo dijeron, y ha sido, sin embargo, una prueba fenomenal para todas esas cosas que nosotros venimos contando. Oye, es que te puede pasar esto, que te puede pasar esto, has pensado en esto otro, y conseguimos muchas veces lo que yo llamo el efecto ajá. Yo voy a un cliente y digo, oye, ¿tú has pensado en esto? Y dice, ajá. ¿Y has pensado en esto? Y dice, ajá. ¿Y vas a hacer algo? Y dice, ajá, sí, estoy pensando que igual a finales de año pido presupuesto para el año que viene para poder hacerlo. Entonces, frente a ese tipo de respuestas, lo que decimos y lo que venimos proponiendo ya desde hace tiempo, el que pasen cosas malas en el mundo, pero que no han hecho daño, porque lo bueno del WannaCry es que no hizo daño. Simplemente, así como te pica una avispa, pues te molesta, pero daño de verdad no hizo, ¿vale? De esos hemos visto otras muchas. De esas no salen en los periódicos, pero daño de verdad nosotros hemos encontrado. Hemos encontrado clientes en España al que le habían robado 5 gigas de datos y se habían ido hacia los países del este. Ese no salió en los periódicos, ¿vale? Pero esas cosas pasan. Entonces, hoy os vamos a presentar un conjunto de tecnologías que creo que pueden dar respuesta a todas estas inquietudes, y sin más, yo les voy a dar paso al siguiente ponente. Gracias a Goyo y muchísimas gracias a todos por venir.
I understood that part in Spanish that you introduced me. That's the only part I understood. I apologize for my English. So first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity. And I wanted to share with you a bit of the perspective of Checkpoint, how Checkpoint sees today the world of cybersecurity, and what we believe is an approach and a strategy that we as organizations need to take in this world right now that we're in. One thing I would like to say at the beginning is when there are two different things that are happening right now. So we hear a lot about cybersecurity, but in many conferences, another word or two words that are coming up is digital transformation. And you hear this a lot, of this renovated world of IT and what we need to do in this world. So what I would like to do is I would like to talk about this mixture between cybersecurity in today's world and in the world of IT and in digital transformation that is happening there. So maybe as a background, and again, I don't think that I'm going to introduce anything new to you all, but maybe as a background, I think that we should look where we are right now. So right now, everything is connected. And even a baby crib or something right now, everything is connected right now to the internet, one way or the other. We are all connected. Another thing that we need to look at right now is that the malware is growing significantly, but what's interesting about malware is growing in places that we didn't even think about 3-4 years ago that will be that significant. So one example you can see here is all the issues that happened just a month ago in the French election, and it was talking about just a couple of days before about the hacking there, the hacking or potential hacking of Russians in the United States. But also this very interesting example that happened beginning of the year where a key system in a hotel room was locked with ransomware, and then people in the hotel could either not go in or not go out of their room potentially because of ransomware that people locked or hijacked the key systems. Just to show you that today cyber attacks and cyber threats are not just about banks, it's about everything that we do right now and everything that we're involved in. Mobile is a significant issue right now. And mobile, and we'll talk about it later today, but if 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we would ask ourselves if mobile devices, business are the same thing, but yes, today it's obvious. Everybody knows that we are using our mobile devices for everything we do in a business. We're using it to communicate, to share information. We're using it to see the business results, many different things. So mobile device is part of our business. And we are seeing that this has become one of the weakest links inside the organization. It's become very vulnerable with many different attacks, and we will show that later today. And we're not many times taking the right steps. This is just one example of a major attack that we published related to mobile. The last thing that I would like to share with you, of course, is that all of this is relevant because of the tools. And if you think of it and how you can be attacked, well, today, if you look at how usually I'm attacking you in different types of, if I go into a bank, I don't use the most sophisticated tools to rob a bank. But in this space here, in cyber threats or cyber attacks, we are using today the most damaging tools in order to attack you. And this is just one example where some of the hacking tools of NSA were leaked outside, which means that anybody can use the most damaging tools in order to really attack and use them in order to make damage. So all of these things are creating an environment where we believe something significant is happening. And I think 2017 is one of these crossing points or inflection points. I mentioned before the world of IT, digital transformation, everything right now we think of how can we move fast. IT, agility, DevOps, cloud, all these different elements on one side, but also the significant increase in malware. One significant example which happened, and I heard the word WannaCry before, but one significant issue just last month, which I believe, and if you see it in the world of cybersecurity, every 4 or 5 years, there's one significant big event that everybody talks about and talks about quite a lot. So 4 years ago, it was the attack on Target. Now it's WannaCry. But WannaCry is so significant because what it really revealed was that everybody is exposed, from the production lines in Renault that was stopped because of that attack. It was about the United States and in Germany, the train system and the hospitals in the United States and so on, Telefonica here, the hospitals in UK. So you see that one attack was so significant and spread so fast and had such a big impact on us in the world. And this is just to reveal what's in this situation. So WannaCry, I think, was a very good example. Again, every year, every couple of years, there's one big attack that everybody talks about, doesn't stop talking about. And the reason why people are talking about, because criminals, in this case, were using sometimes some superpower technologies, meaning technologies, when you think of it, could have been developed by the NSA, but right now everybody can use, so they're accessible to anybody. And they were creating massive damages to many services for a couple of weeks until everything was settled down. And last but not least, I think that what's important, and the message I would like to make here, is that the tools exist, okay? But still, we did not use them enough. Just an example in Checkpoint, because this is a Checkpoint event, we, as after fact, we have about 5 different technologies and protections that could block WannaCry for customers. 5, not 1, 5 different ones, starting from IPS to endpoint antivirus to our network sandboxing. All the technologies are there. Still, and I'm not talking about Checkpoint customers, you saw the spread is such a significant spread. So the tools are there. Still, why aren't we all using them? So what should we expect this year? And I think we're in the middle of the year, so what should we expect this year and next year? Well, I think that advanced threats are going to continue. Why? Because if we are moving to IT and we're agile, I think the bad guys are looking for always better ways, easy ways to access our networks and to penetrate, get our credit card information, steal data records, steal intellectual property. This will continue. Cloud is a very, very significant thing. We are seeing a significant shift, and I know many of you in this room are looking at the cloud. What are we doing in our public cloud with Amazon, Microsoft Azure, with Google? What are we doing with the internal investments in the data centers? So cloud is a significant thing. Software as a service, we're pushing and moving. Why? Because we want to be fast. We want to be agile. We want to use the best, and not necessarily we want to use it we want to create it ourselves. We want to use existing utilities outside. Cloud is the same phenomena that happened 100 years ago in the manufacturing industrial industry, where at the time, if you had the factory, you need to generate your own power and your own electricity. But now nobody is generating their own electricity. Everybody is using electricity that you get from the power company. The same thing is happening now in the cloud. Why should I use my own compute sources, storage, network, if I can consume it as a utility like I did 100 years ago with electricity? That's happening. And last but not least, mobility. And I spoke about mobility before. We'll talk about it later today. But mobile is part of our business. And we need to protect that part as much as we are protecting our networks and what we're doing in the cloud. So the question is, are we taking the right approach? And to show you an example of the problem, I would like to say, or the challenge that we have, we did this specific survey. And this survey said, we asked ourselves, how many of our customers are actually using the technologies that we talk about? We have technologies to protect and defend against ransomware, against advanced threats and zero-day protections. We've got technologies that protect against mobile attacks and technologies that protect against cloud. So about, you can see 7%, 1%, 3%. That is the numbers. We actually looked at how many of our customers bought last year, and how many of the customers that bought last year products from Check Point are actually using these technologies. And you see how many of them are non-protected or not using these technologies. And the question is, why is it happening? Why aren't our customers using these technologies? And it's not only about Check Point, it's the entire industry. Because I'm telling you, if this was not 3% or 7%, it was 80%, then WannaCry wouldn't have spread that fast. Because WannaCry was about having IPS protection in place. It was having sandboxing in place. And by the way, it wasn't even about zero-day. It was closing a specific port that you could have closed, and that was it. But why are we still not using, or why are we still not protecting? So before I continue there, I could say that this could be the shortest presentation today that I could offer, because I say, guys, use more of our products, use more technologies, we'll all be safe, we are not reusing, we are vulnerable, thank you very much. I could close it this way, but I think we need to understand a bit better what's the reason, why are we not using these technologies. So there are many reasons, many excuses, many answers that we ask why are we not using the technologies. Some of them could be, it's just too complicated to use so many different point solutions. It's just too complicated to learn how to do this and how to learn that. Secondly, it may be because I didn't think I have a problem. Yes, I heard of it, but what does it have to do with me? I'm a trained system. What does it have to do with me? Ransomware, I heard, it's about, I'm a hotel, I've got my key system to put in. Why does it have to do anything with me? I'm Renault, I've got my production line, nothing will attach my production line. The problem is too many point products. I'm just too confused with what's happening. And what's happening with too many point products, sometimes the point products give me different directions of what to do. Okay, that's also an issue. Just think of a major airline in Europe that I met about a year ago. And this major airline was telling me about, they have two systems. They have Check Point's anti-bot, which is a technology that detects if one of the machines in your network is infected with a bot, with a malware. How does it do that? It detects if there's command and control communication between a specific machine or machines to remote command and control somebody bad, okay? So that's one system, okay? And they have also the endpoint security solutions of McAfee, okay, that are protecting every machine. So the guys in this major airline, one of the biggest airlines in Europe, they were telling me, okay, I've got a problem. I've got two systems. One system tells me everything is good. My endpoint is good. I also have a system by Check Point that says that specific machine over there is communicating with the command and control. This is infected with the bot. Okay? So this machine, my system, checkpoint system, tells me that machine is infected. McAfee says that machine, everything is okay, green. What happens 5 p.m., it's almost 5 p.m., the guy needs to leave the office because his wife wants him to go and fetch something from the supermarket. Okay, this guy, 5 minutes before, he gets 2 messages. Everything is good, everything is bad. What does he do? Guys, everything is good, I have to leave the office. That will happen because at the end of the day, if we're providing point products that are confusing and giving different signals, we are all human beings. We will take the approach of, I need to be home, I don't want to get my wife angry with me. That's what will happen. So that's that. Another thing is we know is that there are not enough trained people. There are not enough people that really understand cybersecurity. If I've got logs of different systems and one tells me one thing, another other thing, it's a big challenge to understand cybersecurity. And we didn't even understand that these things could hurt us. So I would like to give you this analogy and to explain, maybe give you my point in explaining what this happened. What are we doing many times, and what's the approach that we are taking to fight cybersecurity? So this is an analogy of a house, a room, okay? And we all know when we build a house, okay, we need to protect against the rain. Not in the summer, but we need to protect against the rain. Because at the end of the day, there is rain, and there will be rain, and we need to have good sealing on the roof. We need to protect our roof. We need to build good protections so that we won't be wet. Okay? So what do? In our house, we will build a good ceiling, and we'll protect ourselves and that from against the rain. In cases of cybersecurity, what do? And what's the rain? The rain is our cyber attacks. We know that we'll be attacked. We'll know that there'll be some vulnerabilities, and we'll know that we will be attacked. So what's the approach that we take many times? And I would like to say the wrong approach. What we do is we add additional technologies, technology B, technology C. Now, all these technologies we know are giving some levels of protection. These are point solutions. But these solutions are not airtight. They're not connected to each other so well. So we know that there are gaps in between. So we also understand that this is not good enough. So what do? We invest very well in these buckets. These buckets are post-infection, meaning I know that I'm going to get wet. I know there's going to be water in my house. Okay, so I'm going to invest a lot of money in breach mitigation, post-infection, meaning what will happen if something happens to my house? I'll have to do that. And we think it's a very, very bad approach. Just think of it in your house. Instead of investing in a very good roof, you'll invest in good buckets to collect all the water and to clean up all the water. This is not the approach we take in our house. So why are we doing it in cybersecurity? All these point solutions have different technologies. They're good technologies, but they're disparate. They're not connected with each other. And as a result of that, there are gaps. There are gaps between these technologies because the coverage is not complete. We know that they're not complete. And then what happens is that many of us, say, I understand this is a situation, and there's no way that I can prevent attacks, so why don't I just actually try to do post-infection? And why just don't I detect them and I invest a lot more on this here? And we think it's a big mistake. Let me give you another example why it's a big mistake. In the world of medicine, if I were to decide on what should I invest, on good vaccination to prevent a disease from happening, okay, or it could be flu or whatever, or I would like to invest in good medicine for people sick in hospital because they've been infected. I would prefer to invest in the medicine world in vaccinations preventing people from being sick. Why? Because I know if people are sick already, they're in a hospital, it costs a lot of money, there are a lot of dangers and risks when you're sick. They're not necessarily sure that you can actually resolve them. So yes, I still need to prepare and invest in medicine for sickness, but I would prefer to invest most of my money on post-infection, pre-infection, before, and try to block this from happening. So in the medicine world, this is what we do. When we build a house, we also want to be in a situation that we are dry and we protect ourselves. And the question is, why aren't we doing it in the cybersecurity? Why are we so much all the time thinking of, I need to put in buckets of water to clean up the water because there's no way they'll be protected? We think it's the wrong approach. Another example, maybe another analogy to explain and to give or share with you the message and I think the better strategy for what we need to do. So this is an example of, think of this as an example of a threat landscape. You can see in this example here, there are booby traps, there are knives, there are all kinds of different obstacles okay, within this landscape. Now, if I darken this picture, okay, then I won't be able to see, okay, these different threats. But what do we usually do? We have this concept of a street light. So we have a street light, and what we usually do is we always look under the street light that we know. So what we have the ability to do, we always have the ability to identify the threats that we see. Okay, so we have people, in this case 3 people here, and these people see what they see, and they will resolve what they see based on what they have in front of them. But we all saw that there's a lot more threats on the left and on the right that these 3 people are not looking at, simply because they don't see them. Okay, so, but they're there. Okay, they are there in our mobile devices, they are there in our cloud, so what do we do? So one approach, and we think is the wrong approach, is, okay, if there's one street light, so let's multiply these street lights and have more street lights. But this is a big problem. As I mentioned before, in this major airline, okay, if I've got one system says good, one system says bad, okay, I will usually default, everything is good, let's go home. So conflicting information, very ineffective, very costly. And do you have all these people to actually manage all of this? Not necessarily. So this is not a good an effective solution. Still, many of us are using this approach in order to protect themselves, in order to build these point solutions. And we believe there's a different approach, a very, very straightforward approach, but it says instead of having multiple lights, let's widen the beam. Let's make one system that enables us to have, with one consolidated system, with the same people, be able to look at a lot more of the surface of attack. When I talk about consolidation, I mean 4 different things. I mean that we need to have one system that can look at everything that you're doing on your mobile devices, in the cloud, in the different networks that you have. You can't have one system that will protect your headquarters and one system that will protect your branches. You can't have another system that will protect your mobile devices and another system that will protect your cloud investments, simply because multiple streetlights, very ineffective. So you need to have one single system. Also, when talking about threats, you need to have one system, multi-layered, that talks about seeing the roof, protecting and preventing things from happening. That's integrated threat prevention. We need to understand the dynamic in the cloud. Cloud is very, very dynamic. It's changing, evolving, shrinking, growing. And in this environment, we need to provide a system that is auto-scaling. And last but not least, I talked about digital transformation before. We as security people, security professionals, need to understand what's important for the business. We need to understand that if it's a retail company, what's important for them. If it's hospitals, what is important for them from a data protection, from threats? What are the specific threats there? We need to understand if it's a bank, what's important for the bank? What are they concerned about? If it's targeted attacks, yes or no? And we also need to understand where are they going? What's their direction? What are they moving for? What is their goals from a digital transformation perspective? And in taking that into play, we need the security to be with them, to follow, and to work together with what they're doing in security. So how are we realizing this concept in Checkpoint? And what's the main aspects of Checkpoint in that perspective? So if I go to this example over here before, we believe in something, it could be very simplistic, but it's very, very complex in a way that's very comprehensive also. And we believe in a concept that says, I want to connect all these different layers together, and I would like to be in an environment where I'm providing us a dry environment where I'm not talking about breach detection or breach investigation systems, but I'm providing a very, very strong ceiling or very, very strong protection on my roof so that I'm living in a dry environment. That's the main concept. And this is all about what Checkpoint Infinity is all about. Checkpoint Infinity is something that we introduced about 3 months ago. Checkpoint Infinity is a platform and a cybersecurity architecture which we believe is the right architecture for today's challenges that I just mentioned. It's a system that is consolidated, working multiple elements together across what we are doing in our networks, across what we're doing in the cloud, in our with our mobile devices, with the different branches that we're using, in our data centers. All of these different environments are working together, sharing information together, and all of them in one single goal. And one of the single goals is to try as best as we can to block the attacks before they happen, to create an environment where the roof is closed and that nothing will come in. And that's the main part here. How can we prevent attacks before they happen and the damage, so we can invest in the right places? So what are the main aspects of Checkpoint Infinity? Number one, it's about we want to provide one single system, one platform that is combining all the different elements together. We're sharing threat intelligence together. I will show you an example of what this means. We would like to provide an environment where we are focused on preventing the attacks, but not preventing them after they already happened, but try to be preemptive, try to block the damage before it happens. So the focus here is blocking the attacks and blocking the damage before it happens. And last but not least, it's about a consolidated management system. Because we know that whatever we do, we need to have very good control and manageability of the security, and that is all about Checkpoint Infinity. So let me give you, actually skip this because we haven't got the time. I see the time is short here, but let's look at a specific example, because I think this example is very, very important. An example that I would like to illustrate is all about how Checkpoint Infinity comes into play all combined together. So Checkpoint Infinity is about fighting attacks, fighting threats. So I would like to give you an example, and this example is very, very relevant. I met 2 days ago one of the major banks in Europe, and I met them and we had an executive briefing, and we met the chief security officer. And this security officer was saying, okay, what are his major challenges, or what are his major concerns? And he says, I'm moving very fast. We're moving with DevOps. We're moving into the cloud. We're moving in different areas. And my major concern today is targeted attack. What if somebody, any bad guy, will decide to target me, and they'll try to find a way to attack me, and they'll try to get my information and try to share it. So there are significant implications. One is there's a reputation of me as a bank. If they found me vulnerable, okay, if they find that they can attack me, and this will be published in the news, a significant reputation challenge for me as a bank. Number two, another implication is, of course, a financial implication. I'm a financial institute, and what if suddenly millions of records are right now exposed with all the credit card information and so on and so on? So the bank implications are very, very significant. So this is a big challenge and big concern for banks, but not only banks. But let's look at a specific targeted attack campaign. Now, bad guys, what they'll try to do, they'll try to find a specific vector that they can attack you. So if they don't succeed here, they'll go there. And if they don't succeed there, they'll go another place. But they need to get into your network. And once they're in your network, then they'll start to go inside the network and they'll create the damage that they want. So I'll give you this example. It's a simplistic example, but this illustrates what Checkpoint Infinity is all about. So let's assume at 11:30 in the morning, an incoming email is coming to one of the people and one of the employees. And this employee gets an email with an attachment. This attachment is malicious. So we know, as many of you know, with our sandblast technologies, how to block that email. Because we have a sandboxing technology, we have the ability to block these attacks. Okay? So we have the ability, as part as number one says, to block that email, and we will actually notify this employee this email was blocked because it contains malicious content. But what else are we doing? We are sending this information to Threat Cloud, our shared intelligence, meaning that now our cloud knows that something bad is happening. This is a new indicator, the new address of these bad guys. 2 minutes later, somebody else in the bank is now browsing or playing with his mobile phone, and he's getting an SMS. And with this SMS, okay, a regular text message, he's getting also a link, for somebody that he thinks he knows, and he gives him, okay, why don't you click on this link? There's a great advertisement, whatever. And this person is clicking on this link. This is what's called SMS phishing, or in short, smishing, if you've heard of that. But somebody's trying to click on a link within an SMS. Because our mobile devices with SandBlast Mobile are talking to Threat Cloud also, so what we can do right now is we can block this malicious link. So if this user is using SandBlast Mobile, and because SandBlast Mobile on the device is using also working with Threat Cloud, immediately this attack vector is also blocked. 2 minutes later, okay, we have a workload running on Amazon or Azure, doesn't really matter. And in this case here, one of the virtual machines there is trying to connect to one of the addresses which is connected to this indicator. In this case, also we can block it simply because we know, and this virtual machine on Amazon is also working with Threat Cloud. We can block this and we can quarantine this. Now, this sounds very, very trivial. What's the big news? But right now in the industry, there's no one vendor, okay, apart from Check Point, that can take all these different systems and combine them into one single platform where we can actually look at the different elements and we can block them with what shared information. They're all sharing the same threat prevention and they're all sharing the same intelligence. And that's what Check Point Infinity is all about. It's about us combining all the different elements and then connecting them all together into one single system. So Check Point Infinity is all about connecting the cloud. It's about connecting the mobile. It's about connecting threat prevention, all of that in one consolidated system. And I think that's the key thing. So I've got 3 minutes left, so I think I have time to go back to the movie. I just wanted to be sure. So if we can, I'll try to go back to the movie very, very fast, because I think this is a very good illustration of what it's all about. Okay, so let's go to the movie. It's not working now? Let's see if this works.
The future is here. Today, digitization has transformed the way we live and work. Everything is interconnected. More data is generated, stored, and shared than ever before. This transformation ushers in new business opportunities and infinite possibilities. It also demands protection from the growing specter of sophisticated cyber threats. Now every vector is a potential target. Our networks, the cloud, and mobile, we can no longer afford to be exposed. Introducing Check Point Infinity, the cybersecurity architecture of the future. Infinity is the first consolidated security architecture to provide preemptive threat prevention across corporate networks, cloud, and mobile devices. This future state architecture employs unified threat intelligence, open interfaces, and consolidated management to preemptively block even the most sophisticated attacks, all managed on a single pane of glass. See for yourself what the future has wrought. Check Point Infinity. Welcome to the future of cybersecurity.
So I think this is an excellent summary. And I think that if you look at what we're trying to do here, it's all about how are we connecting the different parts of our system, our solution, and how are we looking at what is it important? How can we provide a good set of protections against the different threats? And looking at what we want to do for the future of cybersecurity, which looks at where are systems, where is IT moving? IT moving into the world of digital transformation. Again, agility is the key here, to be fast. How DevOps are working in the cloud. What are we doing with the mobile devices? And for that, and to be ready with these different concepts, and to be ready with the future, which is happening right now, we can see also the threats that are out there. We need a system like Check Point Infinity to bring all these different elements together, because working separately with different point solutions, with the gaps, and to try to detect them and try to look at them after they've actually happened is just simply too costly. So this is a solution that we need to look at, and I think significantly Check Point Infinity is the right approach. Thank you very, very much.